GTA music tier list. And by music, I mean entire soundtrack, not just opening or intro. Let's start with GTA 3, B tier. First off, I gotta say GTA 3 did some pioneering stuff. It was the first in the series to hit us with that 3D open world vibe. And the music? It set the tone for that gritty Liberty City life. The game's radio stations like Chatterbox FM brought some serious personality that was pretty groundbreaking at the time. But here's the deal. When you stack it up against the later GTA titles, GTA 3's soundtrack doesn't quite hit that same level of iconic. Don't get me wrong, it's got bangers, but it's more like a solid base hit rather than a home run. The tracks in GTA 3 are cool, but they don't have that leave it on in the background all day kind of stickiness. I mean, when you think of Vice City or San Andreas, those tunes are instantly recognizable. They capture the essence of their respective eras and locations so well, you feel like you're right there. So, why B tier? It's simple. GTA 3's music does the job. It's good. It supports the game's atmosphere and keeps you in the zone. But it doesn't transcend the game the way the soundtracks in the A tier do. Those are the ones that you remember years down the line, the ones that have tracks you add to your playlists even when you're not gaming. GTA 3's music is solid, but not spectacular. It's the foundation that the series built on, and for that, it deserves respect and a comfy spot in the B tier. Alright, let's talk about the GTA Vice City Stories soundtrack and why I'd place it in the D tier on a GTA game's music tier list. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the nostalgic vibes and the throwback tunes that take you right back to the 80s. But when it comes to ranking it against other GTA soundtracks, I've got to be real with you. First off, I think the soundtrack was ambitious, no doubt. With over 100 tracks, it's got quantity covered one. But here's the thing. It's not just about how many tracks you've got, but the impact they make. And for me, the Vice City Stories soundtrack just doesn't hit the same highs as the others in the series. I mean, when you compare it to the iconic tracks of GTA Vice City or the sheer variety in San Andreas, Vice City Stories feels a bit underwhelming. It's like you're cruising down the streets expecting to be blown away by some killer tunes, but instead, you get a playlist that's more background noise than anything else. Now, I've got to give props where they're due. The game did a solid job of capturing the essence of the era with its selection of rock, pop, and everything in between. But when I'm ranking soundtracks, I'm looking for those bangers that you can't help but sing along to. The ones that define the game's atmosphere. And in that department, Vice City Stories just doesn't deliver the goods for me. San Andreas. First off, I gotta say, the soundtrack of San Andreas is like a time capsule of the 90s. It's got that perfect blend of West Coast hip-hop, rock, and everything in between. When I'm cruising down Grove Street, nothing beats the bass-heavy beats of Dr. Dre or the smooth grooves of Coolio. It's not just background noise. It's a vital part of the San Andreas experience that sets the mood and brings the game world to life. But it's not just about the big names. The game's radio stations are packed with gems from all sorts of genres. Whether I'm in the mood for some country twang or some soulful R&B, San Andreas has got it all. And let's not forget the hilarious radio ads and DJ banter that add layers of personality to the game. The music also plays a huge role in storytelling. Remember the mission Burning Desire? Those flames felt a whole lot hotter with the right track pumping through the speakers. It's moments like these that elevate the game's music from good to legendary. So, why does San Andreas deserve that S tier? Because its soundtrack isn't just a playlist. It's the heartbeat of the game. It's the rhythm of the streets, the soul of the city, and the spirit of the 90s, all rolled into one. It's the kind of soundtrack that sticks with you, long after you've turned off the console. And that, my friends, is why it's not just A-level. It's S tier all the way. Alright, GTA Liberty City Stories has got some tunes, but when you stack it up against the entire GTA series, it's sitting comfortably in that C tier. First off, I gotta give props where they're due. The game's got A Dark March by Danger Mouse as its theme, and it's a banger. It sets the mood with those old-world vibes and mobster feels, which is spot on for the game's setting and story. But when it comes to the rest of the soundtrack, it's like they took a detour down mediocre lane. Now, don't get me wrong, the game throws in some decent licensed tracks. You've got some under-the-radar stuff that's pretty cool, and then there's the Flashback FM station that's all about that Giorgio Moroder magic. That's some good ear candy right there. But here's the thing. Compared to the iconic hits from Vice City and San Andreas, LCS's playlist feels like it's missing that oomph, you know? And then there's Radio del Mundo. I mean, Indian and Middle Eastern pop songs for high-speed chases and action-packed missions. It's a fresh mix, no doubt. Tracks like Dum Maro Dum can get you grooving, but it's not what you'd call mainstream GTA material. So, why C tier? Because LCS's music is like that one friend who's cool to hang out with but doesn't really stand out in your squad. It's got some gems, but it doesn't bring the heat like the other titles. Vice City Stories stepped up the game with more hits and better gameplay, making LCS feel like it's just not as special. Alright, let's dive into why GTA 4 hits that sweet A-tier spot on the music tier list. I mean, when you're cruising through Liberty City, the tunes are just as important as the ride, right? So here's the deal. GTA 4's soundtrack is like a melting pot of genres. You've got everything from hip-hop beats to Eastern European vibes. It's not just about having a bunch of songs, it's about the whole vibe they create. And let's be real, the radio stations in GTA 4, they're iconic. I'm talking about stations like Radio Broker or the Beat 102.7 that just capture that gritty urban atmosphere of the game. Now, I've seen some tier lists out there, and they've got a point. The music selection in GTA 4 is top-notch. It's got this raw, authentic feel that meshes perfectly with the game's setting. It's like every track was hand-picked to enhance the experience of being in a city that's alive and kicking. But why A tier and not S tier? Well, it's all about balance. The music in GTA 4 is killer, no doubt, but it's also about how it complements the game. It's not just background noise, it's a part of the narrative. It sets the tone for those high-speed chases and those moments when you're just taking in the cityscape. GTA 4's music deserves its A-tier ranking because it's more than just a playlist. It's an integral part of the gaming experience. GTA Chinatown Wars. First off, I've got to say, the game's got a unique vibe that sets it apart from other GTA titles. It doesn't have the same kind of licensed tracks as the other games, but it rocks a mix of genre instrumentals like hip-hop and dance. I actually dig this quite a bit. It gives the game its own identity. Plus, the absence of licensed music means you're not distracted by familiar tunes while cruising around Liberty City. Now, don't get me wrong, the music is decent and does its job of keeping the energy up. But here's the thing. It lacks the punch and the memorable moments that A-tier game soundtracks offer. You know, those tracks that stick with you long after you've turned off the console. Chinatown Wars music is more like a solid background player. It's there, it's good, but it doesn't steal the show. Also, let's talk about the sound design. It's pretty slick for a game that originally came out on handhelds. The tunes fit well with the top-down chaos and the whole Triad Gang War theme. But again, it's not groundbreaking. It's not the kind of soundtrack that has you pausing mid-mission just to let a track finish because it's that good. GTA Chinatown Wars lands in the B tier because it brings a solid, distinctive sound to the table, but it doesn't quite hit the legendary status of some other GTA soundtracks. GTA Vice City. First off, I've got to say, when you're cruising down Ocean Drive in a stolen Infernus, nothing sets the mood like the tunes from Vice City's radio. The game's soundtrack is a time capsule of the 80s, and it's like every track was handpicked to make you feel like a boss. I mean, who can forget the moment when Michael Jackson's Billie Jean starts playing as you take your first ride? It's iconic. But it's not just about the big hits. It's the variety that makes it S tier for me. You've got everything from the pop anthems on Flash FM to the soulful grooves on Fever 105. And let's not overlook the Latin vibes on Radio Espantoso that add so much flavor to the game's setting. It's a mix that not only complements the action but also enhances the whole experience of the game. The music in Vice City isn't just background noise, it's a character in its own right. It sets the scene, tells a story, and brings the vibrant world of the 1980s Miami to life. Whether you're gunning down rival gang members or just soaking in the neon nightlife, the soundtrack is your constant companion, making every moment feel cinematic. And let's be real, the nostalgia factor is through the roof. For anyone who lived through the 80s or just has a thing for retro culture, the Vice City soundtrack is like a greatest hits album. It's a love letter to a bygone era, and I can't get enough of it. So yeah, GTA Vice City's music is S tier because it's more than just a collection of tracks. It's the heartbeat of the game. It's what makes you want to throw on a pastel suit and rule the streets of Vice City. And that's why, for me, it's not just a game, it's an experience, and the music is a huge part of that. GTA 5. The game's got a mix of everything. From West Coast classics that give you those chill, laid-back vibes to high-energy tracks that get your adrenaline pumping during a high-speed chase. And let's not forget the original score that kicks in during missions, adding that extra layer of intensity and drama to the gameplay. But here's the kicker. The music isn't just background noise. It's woven into the fabric of Los Santos. The radio DJs, the ads, the talk shows, they all add to this immersive experience that makes you feel like you're living in a world that's alive and kicking. So, why A tier? Because GTA 5 doesn't just use music, it uses it smartly. It enhances the gameplay, it sets the tone, and it's integral to the game's identity. It's like the cherry on top of an already awesome game sundae. And hey, if you're ever in a debate about this, just remember, a game that can make you feel like a gangster, a racer, and a rock star all in one sitting, that's gotta be A-tier material right there. So we are done with the video. This was my GTA music tier list. You can drop yours in the comments too. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.